Hello and welcome back. Today we'll be debriefing a close call I had with an obstacle. This is a different kind of incident as I was not aware it occurred until after reading a notam. The notam was for an unusually tall, unlit tower and it was placed where I recently flew, so that prompted me to review some footage. But before we get into it, I'd like to point out a few issues with GoPro footage. For those who've filmed with GoPros, you understand that due to the wide angle of the lens, the world and perception in the footage can be warped significantly. GoPro's taken a lot more image than what the human eye focuses on, so a key point to remember about GoPro footage is that objects are closer than they appear. Additionally, GoPros have excellent stabilization, which can smooth out turbulence, and the video compression can hide smaller objects and movements. Here in this example, my GoPro is capturing traffic in the pattern. At the time of filming this, I could see the traffic in the pattern clear as day. I could make out the silhouette of the aircraft and see that it was a low wing. But in this footage, all we get is a tiny pixel. So keep that in mind when we're reviewing what we're about to see. The flight we're reviewing is from a fall day where I decided to fly to various airports in the area. I've actually posted a video on this flight. It was a beautiful day, and since I'd be making short trips between airfields, I decided to fly at 2,500 feet, which is roughly 1,800 feet above ground level. So let's take a look at this notam. I spotted the notam after I was drafting up plans for a possible flight. I read this notam for Lake Simcoe Regional Airport. I was aware of a cell phone tower that was pretty close to circuit altitude on a previous flight, so I assumed that the notam was for this tower. But after a closer reread, the altitude was 1,631 feet, and that caught my eye. I wanted to confirm which tower this notam was talking about, so I punched in the coordinates and found it was a totally different tower than what I was aware of. Startled by this, I looked at my sectionals and my concerns grew. I likely flew over this tower without even knowing it. I could not spot the tower on Google Maps as it blended way too well into the ground, so I decided to carefully review my footage. And just a quick reminder, I am a low-time pilot, just a PPL pilot with less than 200 hours. I am not an instructor, and I have no business teaching anybody anything about flying. Let's watch.
Lake Simcoe area traffic, Cessna 150, call from Uniform Victor Hotel, currently 2,300, descending at circuit altitude, 3 miles north of field. We'll be crossing midfield to join mid-left downwind 28. Lake Simcoe area traffic, Cessna 150, call from Uniform Victor Hotel, currently 2,300, descending at circuit altitude, 3 miles north of field. We'll be crossing midfield to join mid-left downwind 28. Lake Simcoe area traffic, Cessna 150, call from Uniform Victor Hotel, currently 2,300, descending at circuit altitude, 3 miles north of field. We'll be crossing midfield to join mid-left downwind 28.
Okay, so what did we observe? I'm about 3 nautical miles north of Lake Simcoe Regional Airport and I am descending to circuit altitude, setting myself up to join a mid-left downwind for runway 28. This is why I was flying lower than 2,500 feet. We can see the ground at this location is significantly higher and it's sloping down toward the south. From the cockpit view, the body of the aircraft is blocking my view below, and I doubt I'd ever see that antenna until I was over top of it and looking out my left window. The maximum elevation figure for this grid on the sectional is 1,900 feet above sea level. Thankfully, I was slightly above 2,160 feet, which puts me at over 500 feet above the antenna. One could argue I was safe since I was above the MEF and 500 feet above the obstacle, but I was only this high due to luck rather than intention. If I were flying a bit to the left and started my descent earlier, this may have turned into someone else's debrief video. Additionally, 500 feet is not much buffer when you're considering the possibility of downdrafts or altimeter errors. So why did I not know about this antenna? I think a number of factors contributed to this close call. First, I did not respect the sectional. There are a ton of antennas in the area, almost so many your brain starts to filter them out. Take a look at this sectional. There's a pretty high concentration of tall towers in the area north of Lake Simcoe Airport. Second, I've been flying in the area quite often over this summer, and I did not notice the towers. Remember that the towers are nearly invisible when blending in with the ground. This created a combination of survivor and confirmation bias in my mind. Third, I did have some awareness of the maximum elevation figure, but as I got closer to the airport, I respected it less. It turns out the majority of the tallest towers happens to be closest to the airport. The proximity to the airport gave me a false sense of safety. And finally, I was treating this VFR flight a bit too casually. My plan was to visually fly to the various airports I was familiar with. I did not closely review my charts, and I was a bit overconfident with my safety. This led me to not fully exercise my flight planning skills. So, what have we learned? Well, not much. This is all stuff taught in flight school during PPL training. Plain and simple, this was complacency creeping into my flying habits and the lack of keeping my flight planning skills sharp. This was a wake-up call for sure. I'm still a low-time pilot with less than 200 hours, and this bad habit has already crept in. In addition to the obvious, I also reflected on the blind spots of my aircraft and possible scenarios. The possibility of descending into an obstacle miles ahead of you is very real if that obstacle is blocked by the view of your aircraft. Respect the charts, check the NOTAMs. There are new towers frequently built as our reliance on technology grows. Another activity I started to do is actually find the obstacles that are on the charts using Google Maps and Google Earth satellite imagery. This helps solidify their positions in my mind as well as their appearance. I suggest trying it. For my future flights, I will be drawing routes around obstacles, ensuring that I'm above the maximum elevation figure, and paying closer attention to markings near the airfields I visit. Thank you for joining me in this debrief. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you.